Welcome back, all you memers and dreamers, to the 2018 Academy League. Game 2 is just around the corner with top team Cloud9 facing off against OpTic Gaming. OpTic has a tough schedule this week with Fox yesterday and Cloud9 today, but they're off to a good start.
Yeah, OpTic are no doubt riding high a little bit off their victory over Fox, but will need to keep their eye on the prize to pull off a week 2 or 2-0 victory, excuse me. Palafox has always been a player to watch for me on this team, and after 7-1 showing yesterday, really stepping up. All eyes are going to be on him in today's match against Goldenglue. This is a great test to see if he actually stacks up against LCS talent, and that's a huge step in his career.
I think so as well. And meanwhile, Cloud9 are coming into this match after suffering their first loss, and will be looking to prove that yesterday's defeat was just a one-off.
And I think that's a pretty reasonable assumption overall, and I think C9 should have the advantage coming into this game. Not only do they have some of the best individual talent in all of Academy, but they also have shown some of the best macro overall, and you can expect that some players on this squad already getting looked at by LCS teams most likely, and this is a great opportunity to show that kind of mental resiliency that you want to shake off a loss and come back strong.
Well, now let's meet the teams on the blue side. It is OpTic Gaming. In the top lane, Dhokla. In the jungle, Kadir. Their mid laner, Palafox. Bot laner, Andy. And their support, Winter.
And over on the red side, it is Cloud9 Academy. In the top lane, Shiro, jungle, Wiggily. Mid lane, Goldenglue. Botting, Keith. And then support, Zeyzal.
Well, we'll see what these teams have for us in store as we look at 8.2. Again, of course, they played some matches yesterday. We mentioned already Cloud9's loss, but kind of getting a chance to really look at these games and cast over them. It is kind of fun to see the changes that we can already hint at moving into the LCS weekend, but of course here for Academy as well.
Yeah, and I like being able to see that the bot lane actually got broken open, mostly like you heard Lost say, off of 2v2 advantages. He said we kind of just got priority in the lane, which can be difficult to do when you can't actually chunk people out through trading. So very interesting to see that already that is an option.
Well, see what happens here in the draft. C9 Academy on the blue side as they ban away Zach, and then OpTic on the red with Alistar banned away. So some bot lane focus there already with the Alistar.
Yeah, a little, not too much of a surprise if you watch last weekend's game by Cloud9 on broadcast. Zeyzal went off with it, just took an early solo kill kind of in lane, or 2v2 kill, and bot lane then started storming mid over and over, huge flanks, completely took over the game, so no surprise to see that one on the ban list.
Clearly learning from his LCS teammate there in Smoothie.
Who's learning from who?
No, you know what? You never know. I think maybe Smoothie's learning a thing or two as Camille, the ban there by C9 Academy, taking that top lane away. And I believe his first appearance, at least, that we've seen today, Nunu getting banned away by OpTic.
Yeah.
Someone had to prepare Nunu.
Yeah, you know that there's no chance, unless it's banned, that we don't see Nunu this week, and thus far banned out, unfortunately.
There's Xayah banned by C9 Academy. So again, that big shift we've actually seen in the bot lane. Xayah feels like she's rocketed up in priority. We saw her last game, and we won't see her this game because C9 is saying, don't want to deal with that. Even in phase 1, willing to spend a ban here.
Yeah, I wonder how high Xayah's priority will go, because just with the changes in the bot lane, you don't think it would be quite enough to push her over all these other champions, but she does have really strong trading potential, and so maybe that's all it took, less sustain, to make her a top pick. We'll have to see if that continues over the course of the weekend.
Well, a lot left open as a result. We've got Cogmon that we usually see banned, with the J4 being OpTic's last ban in this phase, but surprise, surprise, Zoe, who has popped off all Academy long this week, probably continuing her reign of terror. Again, no changes for this patch for her.
We'll have to see. There have, like you said, been some terrifying performances with this champion. Absolutely dominates in these kind of scrappier situations where your front line, back line aren't completely established. And that was a game, I think it was actually Fox with Demonte.
Yeah, he went crazy.
He went off with that. We'll have to see if Goldenglue can kind of mirror that performance.
Certainly a player that grinds a lot of solo queue. He's almost always up to date on these kind of current champions. So we'll see what he does as he takes Zoe for a spin. Sejuani, though, certainly the Invoke jungler, and we'll see what else OpTic are willing to trade for this pick. It is Kalista, so Cog's still open, a lot of AD still left on the table. Well, we'll have to see what C9 want to take here. I mean, personally, I just don't feel like Sejuani and Kalista are worth giving away Zoe. That's basically the trade you've made.
It's tough to say. Kalista might end up being worth it depending on how bot lane actually shakes out. She was one of the only bully lane dominant champions down the bot lane that was still seeing significant play. Even when it was that kind of more sustained focused meta. So now that it's hopefully less sustain heavy, she becomes even stronger. So there's a chance it's worth it, but on paper, yeah, Zoe's pretty scary to play against.
Let's see what we've learned here as we move through more 8.2 matches. Tristana, though, picked up for Keith. So a pretty classic, I'm hesitant to say counter pick, but we see this picked a lot in the matchup. Feels like players get pretty good leverage out of it in the 1v1.
It's like you said, it's not exactly a counter pick because it does have moments of strength and moments of weakness. If you can get a big E on a target and then you can go for the jump, reset, you can stick on Kalista, and some more aggressive supports can lead to a situation where Kalista's short range kind of leads to her getting 100 to 0, but if you don't let that happen, Kalista generally wins.
Yep, now though for C9 Academy in the top lane there for Shiro, and now pick here for Palafox. We'll see what he takes as the OpTic Academy look to round out this draft. I mean, I think maybe support will be prudent here, but instead Galio will be the pick. So mid lane Galio, you have to expect once more.
Yeah, it looks like if you can't beat Zoe, avoid her is what they're going to be going with here. You know, it's going to be hard for... She is gankable in that sense, and you do have good gank assist with the Galio pick, but you can also just choose not to do that at all. Go to that Kalista down the bot lane, blow that lane open, and just hopefully by the time Zoe starts hitting her crazy power spikes and can one-shot your AD carry, you've already won the game.
Well, Jack's actually banned away, something we have seen quite a lot in the jungle especially.
Yeah, and Cloud9 Academy were the kind of forerunners of that. They did it once there, and then the main team actually did it as well. Sven picked it up, and it's a champion that goes the full build of basically tank, which is surprising to see on Jax, but when you combo it in with enough other support and tanks, it becomes actually very powerful. So we'll have to see, now that it's banned out, what C9 choose to go with in the jungle.
Well, there's a Rakan ban, so again, kind of rising in popularity, especially with Xayah moving up. Of course, she's banned this game, but C9 actually banned both halves of the Lover's Lane, and there's a Taric ban for OpTic, so switching gears a little and taking out the support away from Zeyzal.
And surprisingly, through all of this, Tahm Kench
is chilling out.
Has made it this far, so C9 Academy probably should ban that here. They don't, they go with Jace. Does OpTic take it? It's not as dominant as a lane as you might want with Kalista, but it might be difficult to play Kalista into Tahm Kench, so we'll have to see what OpTic chooses to do.
Yeah, something like Braum also potentially up, so certainly a lot to think about here. We'll see what OpTic take here. 10 seconds left for this next pick. And it is going to be Braum. Mitigates a little bit of Zoe's poke.
Yeah.
Not a lot, but a little bit.
It is, it's hard to play into Zoe, let's be honest. But if you have to, Braum is not a bad option. Galio, with, like we said, the new build, you are a fair amount squishier, but hopefully he can do a good job frontlining. You also have the Sejuani, so if you are able to set up these kind of clear battle lines, and Zoe's not off on the flank, she'll be stuck pelting frontline members.
Well, we mentioned Tahm Kench. Seems like a pretty easy pickup here for Zeyzal, and they will take it. Tristana for the bottom lane there. And now one pick here. Looks like they have to blind top lane with OpTic holding on to counter pick there for Dhokla.
It should be jungle. They do have
yes, they have Gnar.
Yeah, they do have the Gnar. So Dhokla still has that counter pick. We have seen him pick some weird stuff with counter pick. The Aurelia has been played. I think he had a Trundle game as well. So he does have a little bit of different things. And the Eve that they were hovering.
Now this is an interesting one because we didn't talk about it just yet, but certainly a champion that got hit pretty hard with the nerf bat on 8.2.
Yeah, it's surprising to see it still being played. Permanent stealth at level 6 is a very powerful mechanic, so I can understand why it's still used, but into OpTic's comp, it is a little surprising. You have 3 tanks and a Kalista. Now with the GP coming in, maybe you have some more opportunities to find people to kill, but prior to that, it is surprising to see the Evelynn pick.
Yeah, I mean, also a little surprising to me to see GP. We often see Gnar picked into Gangplank for this sort of counter pick. Again, like a very loose usage of the word there, counter pick. Certainly a matchup when, like a lot of his matchups, he can get aggressive in. But Dhokla, could have taken something like the Aurelia. We've seen, a traditional pick like Yasuo be good, or even just take something a little more stable. So certainly OpTic, I think just saying, we have a Galio, we have this Kalista, we just want a little bit more damage from our top laner as well.
It makes sense in that regard where you don't want to fall too far behind. Galio being AP now does still pack a decent punch, but what's nice is if they do try and go aggressive on the top side, Galio can be used defensively. If your bot lane's winning, maybe you just snowball down there. They have a pretty nice comp with a couple different ways to play this one out.
And on the other side, like you said, Evelynn kind of rounding out a strange comp here for Cloud9 Academy. I'm curious to see what happens, but I guess we'll find out shortly as you're out onto Summoner's Rift for our second game here. Cloud9 Academy looking to pick up after the loss yesterday. OpTic looking to sweep the weekend. We take down some pretty fearsome opponents to do so as well.
Like you said, this draft from C9 Academy is curious for me. I like the Tahm Kench pick into Kalista. It would have been nice if you picked something with kill threat, but after all those bans, it didn't feel like there was much unless you wanted to go all in with like a Leona pick or something more aggressive. So Tahm Kench is great for that, surviving some pressure if there's a lot of dives coming in. But after that, beyond just surviving bot lane and having a pushing top side, your team fight is not great. You do have good range. but you only have Gnar really for engage. Evelynn very squishy, can potentially pick people off very quickly at the start of a fight, but then doesn't do much else after that. So.
Yeah, and I think a lot of attention here on Wiggily. I mean, we talk about Evelynn as a pick that really just feels a bit strange given the changes on 8.2, but Cloud9 invested a lot in getting this pick. They picked it very late into the draft, clearly had a lot of time to think about it, so Wiggily is probably going to have a pretty good performance here, but this is a comp a C9 can snowball pretty aggressively, and this is a team that's very well practiced at when they get a lead, growing it, and then closing out the game quickly.
Absolutely, and a lot will probably be decided based off how the mid lane plays out. I expect Galio, like we said, will be trying to be uninteractive, pushing in, roam around. If Zoe can actually chunk him out, if that's possible to a Galio, if Zoe can chunk him out, maybe it limits the roams, because otherwise you're scared about the winning bot lane potentially getting dove consistently.
Perhaps we'll learn something today. Can Zoe even topple the likes of Galio? We'll find out in a number of minutes. Looks like both junglers moving towards the same side of the map as we check in here with the bot lane. Keith and Zeyzal off to the push here early on. Not too surprising in a Tristana lane, but looks like level 2s will be up shortly as back in mid, Goldenglue and Palafox both level 2. Palafox again looking to have another repeat performance. Had a great Azir game yesterday. And looks like early on, kind of as expected, Zoe is getting pushed in, but doesn't take too much longer for those paddle stars to just knock down the entire wave.
Yep, Zoe's lane push is something that's always pretty good. You kind of have to angle it around the front line creeps to hit the back line, but it's not too hard to do that, and then at later levels, that'll be an instant free push. Yep,
Taunted though, wanted to pick up the barrier that was on the ground. So that first balloon was popped. Goldenglue also has the minion dematerializer. I've seen a lot more of this in general, but kind of playing to the just wanting to clear the waves and then get out and roam playstyle that I think a lot of the Zoe players have kind of adopted now.
Yeah, she's a champion that if you do get the push, she's very potent because you can just sit in the river. If you get deep vision control, you can spot out the enemy jungler. You shoot your sleepy bubbles through those walls. She doesn't really need to commit, and if she lands the sleep, then you get to chunk out the enemy jungler or maybe even find a kill depending on how aggressively you're playing. So if you do lose control of mid-river, Zoe can make the entire jungler's night pretty miserable.
Well, see how things go. As Keith and Zeyzal now on the receiving end of a push. Kadir also down here to do some counter jungling, but it looks like he's not going to go any further. Like you said, Kalista was one of the more aggressive marksmen on 8.1, and now shifting to a lot more aggression you have to think on 8.2. Seems like Andy getting a lot of play out of it so far. And last but not least here on the top side, Shiro and Dhokla are farming. Seen a lot of this matchup actually.
Yep. What you should expect if you haven't seen it before, GP gets pushed in, gets harassed into a turret, falls 20 CS behind, takes Kleptomancy, uses his parlay, farms up, so even though he's down 20 CS, gold is even, hopefully you don't die, and then come 20 minutes, you just do a ton of damage. So it's a very volatile matchup where if the Gnar gets too far ahead, he just starts dominating the GP and will have split push threat the whole game. If he doesn't accumulate enough of a lead, GP outscales pretty heavily.
Yep, and again, eyes on both the junglers here, particularly Wiggily. Level 4 now on the Evelynn, but Eve kind of needs to ramp up and really hit that level 6, be able to get real invisibility rather than just the camouflage.
You see, it's mostly farm focused. Both junglers not super strong pre-6. Sejuani can turn a fair amount of ganks, but not really great lanes to go for other than potentially mid lane. And we also have 8 stopwatches, yet again.
Our new favorite game, counting the stopwatches there, as Palafox did get slept by Goldenglue, but didn't take super maximum damage on the paddle star. Goldenglue though kind of doing his job, pushing the wave in, has denied a couple of CS away from Palafox, so a bit of a lead there. And again, with the dematerializer especially, it makes clearing the waves really easy. And then of course, makes your job better as the game goes on, as you deal more damage. Bubble, not going to connect there. But again, Goldenglue just happy to dance around, and looks like both mid laners kind of waiting for 6.
Yep, both have gotten a recall off. Goldenglue, that's not a real heal, everybody. Calm down.
That's the harassment heal. Picked that one up off the ground, fell out of a balloon.
That makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense to me. Does use it there to harass Palafox.
So with those dematerializers running out, only has 1 more left. I'll be interested to see how the lane goes after that, because we would have expected Galio to have the pushing advantage. And so he's been undeterred a little bit early on, but hopefully he starts getting control of this lane a little bit better.
Level 6 versus Palafox, so let's see if he can find time to leave the lane, maybe influence, say, the bottom lane here, especially with junglers ramping up towards their ultimates in a few minutes' time. A lot of opportunity for OpTic Academy to find a play, really force some sort of fight here, but For right now, it does feel like the bot lane, certainly early on, in favor of OpTic, if only slightly. And the same is true there for C9 Academy, although Dhokla is somehow 10 CS ahead of this Gnar. I guess the TP is going to help out there. Came back with a cull and is just farming up a storm.
And a good trade on to Andy there, going to get chunked out a little bit. And like you said, top lane up 10 CS is pretty scary. As you see, Shiro continuing to play aggressive, dodges out on some damage.
Yeah, Wigglily's coming. Dhokla gets out of the first bit, but the Mega Gnar is ready. Dive here on the bot side, though. Keith could be in trouble. There's the ultimate down from Palafox, just trying to get out of the way. Zeyzal spits Keith out, but there's the taunt going to land in. First blood goes through. Stun land for the second. Is they going to die for the next one as well? Good stopwatch there from Winter. Resets the aggro, but Dhokla in trouble here in the top side. Zeyzal looks like he'll live, but first blood over to Palafox.
First blood over to the mid laner. He's going to be able to reset here. Zoe was making her way down river, so they call that dive off. Can't get the turret either. Dhokla managed to survive that play up on the top side somehow, but because there's no pressure on the rest of the C9 Academy top and jungle, they feel fine to keep the pressure in this top lane going.
Yep, you can see kind of partly how Dhokla got out there. Looks like his stopwatch has been broken. Wasn't quite enough to combo some CC and damage down. Again, Wiggily doesn't have his ultimate just yet, so can't add additional dive utility and more importantly damage, but should be back relatively soon. Kadir also ramping up towards his ultimate. Is Wiggily able to take down that Scuttle Crab and continue things along. OpTic though, after the first early lead, and I asked the question and Palafox answered it. Can you get out of this lane and force a play? Answer is a resounding yes.
Yep, you run out of those dematerializers and suddenly Galio starts shoving you in. Plus just the extra mobility that's available helps out a lot, able to get down that bot lane. And taking a look at this one, Kadir, dive was well communicated that they wanted to do this. Takes away around the wards, so they don't know it's coming. Galio was already way down the river, and Zeyzal tries to get out here, but not quite able to avoid the knockup. A lot of stopwatches, resetting turret aggro. Keith drops very quickly after that. And then you see the rest of those stopwatches getting popped, keeping people alive, but really low HP. Don't want to risk getting picked off by a Zoe coming down the river, so they call that off. And topside, it looks scary there. We kind of cut away from it as Shiro looked like he was about to ult the GP back, but did stay alive. I don't think Wiggily was 6 when that started, so he was missing that kind of execute damage that you're hoping for.
Yeah, neither jungler was 6, but that has been remedied, both Wiggily and Kadir, both with their ultimates good to go. Shiro kind of riding the ship here after, again, could do some detective work later, but a very strange looking CS deficit. But for now, things have been even back up. Looks like GP is going to move back. No, not yet. Dhokla trolling me there with the not recall. TP up for Goldenglue.
Hey!
Would have used that in the last time from the Galio.
So just talking about that top lane matchup, there's a couple curious things coming in for Shiro for me, where it indicates he's playing the matchup more defensively than I think is necessary. It's a champion matchup where globally, on average, GP is down, I believe, 15 to 20 CS, depending on what region you look at. In Korea, in particular, it's about 25 CS deficit. But Shiro has opted instead of Airy for Fleet Footwork, which is a more defensively focused rune choice, as well as going for the Ninja Tabby first as well. And so he doesn't have as much damage. A lot of people you see going for a phase rush, try to keep that pressure up with an Airy. And as such, it feels like Dhokla is not really under much pressure in terms of just actual 1v1 threat and has done a great job farming up so far. You know, he's not out of the woods yet. It's still a difficult matchup, but a really less aggressive rune and item choice than I'm used to seeing, but maybe things are changing in how they think the matchup.
Rousey here onto Kadir as the ultimate out from Palafox. Wiggly's going to get forced away. Does get spotted and stunned back up. Just as punch connect for the knockup. Wiggily, a great bit of stasis there. Might save him as Keith. We're going to get the execute. Winter does slay Wiggily, but Keith looking for the kill. Does get it on the other end. That will give Trist the reset, but GP ult's going to call off the rest of that shot.
Going to end up being a 1-for-1 on the tail end of that, but a lot of skills used there on the side of C9 Academy. Shiro had teleported in. Keith flashing aggressively to try and make sure he can get that.
Ooh. Goldenglue commits a fake flash.
Yeah, it's always
the damage extension.
Yeah, confusing when you see that. Picked up a flash off the ground from all that skirmishing going on. Holds on to his main one. And does chunk out Palafox, getting him a fair amount of mid control now. Unfortunately, his jungler is just respawning now, so not able to combo together.
He's been keeping back under that ward. Palafox walks back behind his minion line. Gonna keep that pressure up. Goldenglue with the spellbook can swap the TP if you would like to. And just noticing this as well, Palafox also with the spellbook. We saw electrocute for extra damage by Demonte in the first game. Bit of a difference here as gank topside for Wiggily, who is super extra sneaky into these bushes.
In case invisibility isn't enough, how about a lane gank?
And again, it's going to be a little scary for the GP. Yeah, no idea what's going on. Now he knows, but has to play this well. Gets charm, oranges it off, but might just go straight for the damage on the dive. A good scoop back by Shiro. Stun after the wallop is a wonderful combo, and that's a simple kill. Shiro going to collect it there.
All too easy for the top and jungle of Cloud9 Academy. Like we were saying, this matchup doesn't get that much easier, so they're finding that kill. And then here's another look at that skirmish that happened. Wiggily caught out, does have some good defensive tools, able to dodge out of the Galio ultimate through using his own, and then still have the stopwatch up to survive long enough to kind of bait Kadir into trying to get that W to finish him off. That gave enough time for Keith to get the cleanup kill onto him and make it a 1-for-1 trade. And then the top side, it's all too easy once you lose that flash and stopwatch. No way for him to really live through that, and with the permanent invisibility, no way to know that's even coming for him.
Yep, really filthy gank there from Wiggily, but great success there for Shiro, who now has the 10 CS lead in hand for himself. Also great little combo of the Gnar CC in Mega Gnar form, so well-timed all around for Cloud9 Academy. Still though, about 1,000 gold down, and with all that, the gold is even in the top side. Dhokla actually still with a slight lead, so that Klepto and that rushing Trinity Force coming in handy. And again, it just feels like despite all that pressure, Dhokla went for a call, is just straight rushing the T-Force, now has actually completed it. Like, you said it, you know, Gangplank tends to not matter when he falls behind. He just really hasn't fallen behind, not feeling the need to itemize defensively at all.
No, it's such a strange, you know, interaction where it's like, I'm destroying this guy, but he's even. This feels weird, but that's how GP works, and that's why you often see the Gnars feel pressured to go so aggressive. And a 10 CS lead is nice. They were able to get that kill. You want to see a little bit more of a lead, but he's on target so far.
Well, we'll see how that matchup continues as we check back in with the mid and bot lane. Abyssal Mask for Palafox is the very necessary but intelligent first item by it. And Goldenglue still working on that Morello, needs to amp up that poke damage. Otherwise, Keith Zeyzal would say Infinity Edge first, perhaps for Keith, or they could opt for that Zeal item. Has those big AD components first. And Andy pretty close to that Blade of the Rune King here on Kalista. So all pretty standard stuff, but again, not a huge gold lead either way. OpTic still ahead, but game needs to develop quite a bit more before we can really see a lead develop.
Absolutely. And it feels like you're on the side of Cloud9 Academy, you have to be pretty happy with how this has gone. Your bot lane, like we said it would be, was under some pressure early on, but they did trade 1-for-1 and got a bunch of summoners out, so they've been able to sustain just fine, basically even in the game at this point. And the Kalista hasn't really netted any huge advantages for the side of OpTic.
Shiro again, still kiting around Dhokla. No Blood Cleaver just yet, but doing pretty well with particularly that Fade. About to go Mega, might look for a solo kill, but tricky versus the Gangplank. His flash up, so Shiro gonna play a little slower.
Sounds like they spotted out the Eve for a second there with all those pings going down. Instead, just getting some vision control in the river and maybe trying to find Zoe.
Oh, yeah,
Zoe's hard.
Play the where do you think she is? Yep, that's Kadir forced away. Charm doesn't quite cook enough for Wiggily to get Sejuani locked out. And even a rotation here from Zeyzal and Keith as Cloud9 Academy trying to collapse around this Drake. Maybe looking to pick that up.
It's also good just to get vision control on the bot side river to make sure none of those 4-man roam plays are coming down the bot side. You can spot them coming. Galio's ult range is not the entire map, despite how it feels sometimes. And so if you can get good defensive warding out, you can have that pressure sensed. And then, you know, it limits how aggressive OpTic can play because they know exactly where everyone is.
TP for OpTic. Is this a... Okay,
Braum
looks like they're making a play. Oh, it's Braum. Of course it is.
Yeah. How could you not expect Braum to have teleport and go for a blue ward?
Just been so common. Yeah. I thought it was like, who's TPing in for this blue buff? That is some greedy play. Instead, it's just Winter actually getting some vision. So excellent teleport out of the Braum. Unsealed Spellbook, of course, adding to the shenanigans.
Yep, the game has become very different than what you were seeing last year, despite what Reddit claims about how uninteractive some of the runes have been. They have very much changed how the game is played.
Again, kind of a late check-in, but always fun to point out runes. I love Glacial Augment Tahm Kench. Seen a lot of Spellbook as well, but those are going for a bit more power, personal power, I suppose.
And with his ultimate, he does have that map mobility kind of already in his kit. But here we see Dhokla trying to survive. Now that he's getting more points into his E, his Q is probably max, has that Triforce, starts clearing the waves much easier. It's much harder to dive him at that point because it's hard to get a minion wave in there.
Yep.
And if he's not chunked out already, that's basically a suicide mission.
Yep, and you saw Wiggily again try the same play, but Dhokla much better equipped this time around. And as a result, OpTic will start this Drake that is in vision-ish, the Cloud9 Academy.
They will know that started. Palafox mostly even in the mid lane. Felt like both of them have times. As now the wraparound coming in for Dhokla.
Yes, the dive begins. Great little stun. Orange flash out, but the charm lands in. A flashing from Wiggily to seal it, and Shiro grabs kill number 2.
Oh boy, difficult life for Dhokla. Not getting much help. Galio not in range to come up and cover those dives. And even if he was, it feels like they happened so fast that you would have just shown up on top of a dead GP. So the Galio pick not really providing much coverage for the Gangplank.
Yeah, and now the gold split between those two as they collect the first turret bonus. Sure, it was trading for an Ocean Drake, so OpTic do get an objective out of the deal, but at 2-0, especially with the Black Cleaver now done, moving in toward those next few items, depending on the route Shiro wants to go, you have to think there's more pressure he's able to apply here.
Right, and he's, you know, like we said, on pace for what should be a very good Gnar game, despite what is a more defensive-focused setup early on. Like I said, sometimes matchups just change. You know, there's a long time where people thought Gnar beat Rumble, and everyone was adamant about that. And then the Rumbles, after a couple patches, some changes, and just general playstyle differences, started destroying Gnars in the first 6 levels before he hit his Hex Drinker, and it suddenly wasn't such a great matchup. Those kinds of things can happen, and maybe what people have learned is GP can actually trade with Gnar first 6 levels.
Yeah, certainly fine for now. Dhokla's been able to get that farm again. The CS difference will hurt a little, but should be just fine as Goldenglue killing those minions is building in towards item number 2. But Palafox done a nice job farming equal there and felt very safe with the Abyssal Mask. Didn't even go for something like a Merc Treads, has Ninja Tabi instead. So some good early defenses here for the Galio. If he can make, again, another play with the ultimate we saw in bot lane, it'd be very successful there. Certainly obvious windows for OpTic to try and start something, but these two teams are both playing actually very slowly in these first 20 minutes.
Right, given the comp of OpTic, you would have thought that they would have forced more plays by this point. I think it's fair to say that a lot of that is C9 playing this very well, getting that great vision control down the bot side, keeping pressure up in the top lane, good pushing in the mid lane. And it's done a good job stymieing the early aggression out of OpTic. And you're starting to get worried here because despite the GP having great scaling, the rest of the team comp doesn't scale that hard. Kalista falls off. The Galio, while his damage stays pretty high, if you can land those Qs, that's mostly what he turns into, is a bit of a Q bot later on in the game. So a bit of a concern if they don't keep scaling up.
You can see good pressure here from Keith actually as well. Turret's getting chipped down and actually will take a pretty significant chunk out of this outer turret here in bot. Zeyzal perhaps caught, but has his flash. He's going to get stunned up. Winter's going to try and combo that in, but Keith here with cover fire might be enough. Oh, cruel knock backwards. Not enough to interrupt the Glacial Fissure. And a knock up there onto Zeyzal. Andy able to seal that kill.
Winter playing a little bit of ping pong there. Got knocked back and pulled back in by Andy as they're able to punish Zeyzal getting a little bit too aggressive, but C9 trying to answer with some mid pressure themselves.
Yeah. Wiggily did get the Rift Herald earlier on, so that should be enough to take down the turret. Shelly finishes it off. Wiggily collects gold from his minion.
I don't believe anyone was in range, though, for the first turret local gold. So that's actually a pretty big chunk of gold that they've missed out on. They still are in the lead, though, as the teleport's coming in behind. They want to punish the pushing bot lane, but this could go bad. Kadir's already down here.
Yeah, Shiro in a 1v3, and now another TP coming in. Walking the wrong way for this play. Shiro with a flash.
Able to flash out, going to meet up with Zoe, so he's actually going to be fine after that, but it does feel unfortunate to lose all those summoners.
Goldenglue looking for a cover bubble, but not enough through that tiny piece of terrain. Still fishing. No, finds a control wood. He's at least going to invest some vision there. In fact, Wiggily trying to collapse in onto Kadir. Bubble's going to look, but doesn't find. And actually a blue buff assault here for Cloud9 Academy. Really keeping aggressive on this play extension, as that's going to force the GP ult to commit. Wiggily ults out. And Sejuani goes to sleep.
Teleport's coming in, though. Dhokla's behind already.
Who's sneaky now? The GP sneaking up on the Evelynn. Payback for the earlier lane. Here's the Galio ultimate. Everyone needs to get safe under the turret. A taunt, a massive taunt, in fact. Let's get in, takes down Wiggily. The rest of C9 Academy will get out safely, with the front lines getting chunky here for OpTic.
Wow, kind of some non-stop action there going off what was started out as a pick off onto Zeyzal leads to a mid push, leads to a bot lane TP, blue buff contest into another bot lane TP, and at the end of all of that, it's only 2 kills.
And you know what could have been the outer ring of turrets fell here for Cloud9 Academy. Instead, it's only the mid turret is the second one, and bot is low, but a counter push here for OpTic, and bot now in mid is going to force Cloud9 Academy to react. Just felt like they overreached a little too much, and OpTic counter-attacking well.
The way that Palafox played this, I actually want to take another look at it because it felt like he could have dropped a lot more damage here. Dhokla wrapping around. He gets the flash taunt. I was surprised not to just see a Q passive use. It actually runs forward and goes for an E. Not quite the combo you would have wanted to see. Maybe could have got another kill. Not the end of the world either way, though. And at the end of it, OpTic couldn't get any objectives. I believe the top turret was actually taken before the mid one.
It was.
Stand corrected on missing that much local gold.
Yep, Shiro and Wiggily split it. So instead, Wiggily collects, I guess, the assistant gold from Shelly, busting down the mid turret. Goldenglue with a blue smite, but probably not going to use it. Instead, I think C9 eyes pretty firmly on his bottom outer turret. Again, looking to open up this game. And K2's kind of gone quiet in this game. There's actually 2 items and counting on this Trist, so ramping up nicely in what's been a slower game. Certainly beneficial for the Cloud9 Academy bot lane.
Absolutely. Once you see the Tahm Kench pick come in, you realize that the Tristana is mostly there to scale up, try and go even versus Kalista. Did a great job doing that. Did survive some early pressure pretty well. And now they've taken all 3 outer turrets on the side of Cloud9 Academy.
And I actually like what C9A are doing here. I mean, Shiro has certainly equipped himself for the 1v1 in the side lane with the Frozen Melon now finished as his second item. But Wiggily is just like a permanent jungler sitting under Shiro to support any sort of 1v1 or split push situation. I mean, Dhokla's already having it hard enough in these sorts of matchups. This is just mean. As Wiggly setting up a bit of a tent next to his Gnar.
Yeah, but you gotta say, he opted into it.
Certainly did, and opt-in here for OpTic. Ult's gonna miss Goldenglue, but Zeyzal is trapped. Stunned up again by the Sejuani passive, but still not going down just yet. Andy able to finally rend away for that first kill, and that leaves Mountain Drake ready and up for grabs.
Bit of a weird fight there for C9. Both Shiro and Wiggily were on the backside, but not out of the woods yet. And Zoe can make this difficult.
Yeah, a lot of damage actually followed up. Shiro with a boomerang, I believe, as Goldenglue is just peppering them with bubbles. Still again poking around, misses that second one though. This is really tough for OpTic.
Only the support down.
Another sleep. Winter gets tagged again. Shiro's going to be able to close the pincer. Wiggily with a massive flank on the other side. Distracts him for long enough, but he's going to fall to Andy, picking up his 3rd kill of the game. Keith actually pops his stopwatch there as Shiro tries to find the scoop, but Palafox gets out of the way. Goldenglue though still looking for the long range, doesn't quite find it. Bubble not going to land close enough. And the rest of OpTic get out, but C9 get them off the Drake.
Very questionable call on the side of OpTic there. Yes, you've picked off Zeyzal, but that's only a Tahm Kench. And against the Tristana and Zoe, who are going to pelt you as you try and finish off that Mountain Dragon, that had no chance of working out well for them. They're lucky to get out with only 1 death. A lot of people were very low HP, near walls, but Shiro had no flash, no way to get in there for that big Gnar combo, so only losing 1.
Yeah, seems tough though, 2 kind of terrain-based solo lane is here between Zoe and Gnar. OpTic a little lucky to get out of this one so easily.
Yeah, you see Shiro building that HP up. They try to turn on to Wiggily. They will actually finish him off, but he does a really great job kiting out. Dhokla barely able to survive as well. Keith, like you said, with that strange hourglass. Don't know what button he was looking for there, but probably not that one.
Well, another sleep under Winter, but Goldenglue is buying time. Sleep looks for Kadir, doesn't find it. But taking out control, it looks like C9 are moving some attention over to the left-hand side of the map. Shiro's got the lockdown on the bot lane real estate so far. He's able to split push and get that lead there. C9 Academy looking around that Baron area as Kadir just missing the chunk there. Goldenglue a touch short on the paddle star, but these just keep on coming.
Yeah, that's the thing about Zoe. Give her a blue buff. Cooldowns aren't that long. Spam those E's and Q's. Fun to play against.
Fun to play with, that much I'll tell you. As Mountain Drake also still up for grabs, another bubble lands. Goldenglue not going to find the rest, but Shiro, a big nuisance here in the jungle of OpTic as Wiggily does actually finish off the Drake. That was delayed by C9 Academy, so going to equalize that objective. Blue Up's going to reset, and Goldenglue is just going to swoop in and take it regardless.
Really nice pressure all around by Cloud9 Academy here, moving between bot and mid, getting good vision control, grabbing the dragon, grabbing that blue buff. keeping vision control up the whole time. They had good wards top during that. You see 4 pink wards littering the river right now, 2 top, 2 bot. So just really great control all around by them.
And kind of curious to see if Cloud9 can kind of take this map advantage and really convert it into a bigger lead, because you look at the gold, this game is very close, not 1,000 gold between the two teams. C9 certainly feel like they've got more total control of the map. The 3 turrets to 0 certainly would add to that argument. And Cloud9, a team that we expect here in Academy to be very efficient, very well practiced in closing out games. If we can do so without a big snowball lead, I think that will tell us a lot about the quality of this team and certainly help them bounce back from their loss yesterday.
This is exactly like we said we were looking for.
And what else we're looking for?
Baron? Baron, baby.
OpTic going to clear out those wards. Shiro also ramping up. Looks like Guardian Angel's next on the agenda in items. But again, ooh, some sneaky stuff.
Yeah, hop the wall. They're going to do this damage. And it doesn't seem like C9 has any idea this is going on. They will.
This is going to take a while. Winter also moving in. Kadir's like, maybe I can't tank this for as long as I thought. But just enough spears will do it. And Cloud9 Academy has no idea at all.
No, they have that scuttle crab vision there, giving them that extra sense of security that nothing strange is happening. Don't mind Baron Pit, but this entire time they're taking it down. Kadir
He's smited for health, and it's worth it. There's the Ren, and Cloud9 Academy get the bad news.
Yeah, you hear that scream go down. They had no idea. Very heads-up play on the side of OpTic. Like you said, you smite for the health. You have Kalista to secure with the Ren, so no worries there. On top of the fact that, yeah, C9 had no clue.
Well, not even that early of a Baron. We're at 27.5 minutes, and OpTic took a game that was very even. Barely 1,000 gold between the two teams. They get a slight gold lead, and more than that, have a chance to really break open, equalize that turret lead, take the standing gold, and actually get really far ahead in this mid-game.
Right, there's so much available for them to get back into this game. You see their CS generally is close to even, so it's almost only these turrets keeping C9 ahead, or slightly behind now after the Baron killed the gold, but they have these buffed up waves now to try and push in. It will still be hard, but not great line wave clear on the side of Cloud9 Academy. It's basically up to Zoe to try and do it.
Yep. She needs angles. Keith needs to auto attack the wave, but obviously has to wait till he's in range, so it can be tricky, but C9 sticking together. We'll see if OpTic split across the map. You have to think maybe Dhokla might move, but at least as far as this mid-siege is concerned, OpTic really sticking as a 5 here.
Yeah, a little surprising to see that. I understand not wanting to get too split up and get picked off by the Evelynn, who can find weird angles and flanks, but at the same time, you're not getting much else.
And nice little AoE paddle start there from Goldenglue. Braum looking to block. Kalista forced out. The charm also in onto Andy as Wiggily looks to find it. Does land the life. Gets in and a massive shutdown as he pops the ulti. Manages to get the kill. Shiro transformed, is tanking what he can. Has a stone plate, not a GA, to be able to tank through that. And all of a sudden, 4v5.
Really surprised to see OpTic trying to go for that 5-man push in the mid lane. Palafox not even getting an ult despite kind of breaking up to the top side. So now C9 Academy, despite losing that Baron, is going to be the one taking turret.
Yeah, almost a blessing in disguise. You have to think Wiggily with a really nice angle to force that play. And I think a max range Q charming poor Andy, and then everybody piles in.
Yeah. Cloud9 Academy give up the Baron to lure OpTic away from their turrets. So of course, they can find the flanks. Making the best of a bad situation, of course. OpTic, while it is scary about the potential Evelynn engages, I would rather have seen them try and split up a little bit more, because if you don't, here's the thing, you're a bit of a shooting gallery for Zoe. She starts getting you low, and then they're able to go in and find this kind of pickoff. Really well played by Wiggily there, making sure to angle his ultimate just right to not only get out of there, because he was starting to get chunked out a little bit, but find the retreating Andy. Like you said, that big shutdown onto what was previously the 3-0-1 Kalista.
Yeah, it was looking good, but not available, although everyone's back on the field now for OpTic as they'll knock down the mid outer turret. Certainly not on the timing they might have liked, but Palafox splitting things up. This is more of the pressure I expected OpTic to have with the Baron, so from 4 turrets to 0, now 2 turrets to 4. Playing catch up pretty nicely here, despite the mishap in mid lane.
Yep. Now meeting up to this top side wave, pretty big overall. Shiro split down from the bot side, does have teleport, but no wards really to try and get a flank off. So it's going to be on the rest of Cloud9 to clear this wave out, keep it from going down.
I like this from Palafox. He's checking in. In fact, the dive is started by OpTic. Might just try and zone them off the turret. Looks like Goldenglue back in again, looking for the poke. Keith jumps forward aggressive. Wiggily also maybe getting flanked, but OpTic is split up here. Dhokla and Palafox both vulnerable here. They'll run out towards the safety of their teammate. Shiro, though, does not pull the trigger on the TP. C9 say, we're safe, keep going.
Yep, 4-man hold by Cloud9. Allows Shiro to focus down this turret. He's going to be able to grab this one as well. Bit of a misdive there on OpTic. Kadir went in and threw his Q right away. Could have held it a little bit to wait to see what targets were going to emerge. So a little over-eager on the dive. You can hold things. I know it's scary to go under a turret. You can wait. Goldenglue, for example, was very far forward, kind of playing it a little risky. He does have cleanse, so if the ult does hit him, he can always get out. But, you know, you want to force those summoners when you can. And
a really nice pickup there as well. I mean, C9 Academy just clear out OpTic's right side of the map, taking the tier 2 turret. They steal the blue, and they take the third Drake, which was that Infernal. So OpTic losing a big objective there. After, again, just kind of a mishap. Top lane didn't go too well. Shiro already had pressure on the right-hand side, and they collect the maximum of that.
Kind of feels like what Cloud9 does. They did a great job earlier in the game, grabbing blue buffs and dragons off skirmishes, and now here, grabbing a dragon after winning a play on the flip side of the map. So overall, just great macro play out of them. And these are some pretty significant dragons that they're getting. Infernals and Mountains are no jokes.
Yep, especially with Shiro on that split push duty, and both Trist and Zoe looking to either take down or poke away from their enemies. OpTic, though, committing to this turret. Do not grab it. Bubble lands in. It's on a pretty tanky member, but again, a bit of AoE, not too bad. Defensive Braum multi there is Kadir. Aftershock ready to go. Shiro does make his way up here. Was already around, transforms into Mega, but no further kills coming.
Just looking at how these two team comps are interacting, you might see a pretty difficult game here for the side of Cloud9. I think they are, based off how they're playing, very clearly the better macro team, but they don't have a great comp for punishing OpTic. There's so much zone control available that it's going to be difficult for them to find really huge fights. Shiro kind of
try and make a hero play. A flash from Kadir goes awry, doesn't quite connect with the W for that extra stun, and Shiro's like, well, if I'm on their side pushing, I might as well keep going. Cloud9 Academy straight through mid lane, though, for a bit of extra counter pressure. Again, a really great macro play.
Yeah, absolutely. You saw how desperate Kadir was to land any kind of CC he could onto Shiro. Couldn't do it, and with that time that he bought, Keith has ran up the mid lane and is decimating this turret.
A lot of free time. Keith, 3 items, the last whisper, and a QSS. He is team fight ready as well. As this inhibitor now exposed, Shiro looking to tank his Goldenglue, fishing again for the bubbles. Ult out there from the Galio, makes the entrance, but doesn't quite grab a knocker. A Tahm and Palafox is the GP ulti, also meant defensively Andy. Forced the QSS out from under the sleep. As Goldenglue again, still layering in, poking Keith, very safe. Shiro back in the mini diving through, but Wiggily does go down to Dhokla. Goldenglue though, still making them drowsy, forces the flash out of the Braum as Palafox in the middle of the team is looking to go down the ulti. Wide there from Kadir as Palafox finally falls to Shiro, and Keith, he's in the front lines dishing out the deeps. Goldenglue grabs the kill, but it's Hero Keith that wins the back end of that fight.
Big play by Keith, but a risky one. Kadir had the airball ultimate so that Keith was able to go that aggressive. Might have had QSS prior to that, but was very far forward in this fight. It's very difficult for C9 to actually walk forward in a lot of these fights. Kadir is the one kicking this one off. The GP ultimate coming in a little bit early. No one actually really under that. He was anticipating the Galio ult to hold them all in there. Not quite able to do so. Wiggily goes in on the side, but doesn't get back over the wall with his ultimate. Small misplay, can't get out of the base anymore. He goes down. And then here, Keith is stuck in the base, and it's a very dangerous situation, but Kadir, like I said, that airball ultimate makes it so Keith feels safe to walk forward and keep autoing these guys down. He did have the QSS still, but he was able to hold it for as long as he could because that ultimate missed.
Yep, frontline Trist. Not something we see every day, but effective enough for Cloud9 Academy as they take down the mid inhib. Shiro also back to defend that bottom outer turret, so OpTic still with only 2 turrets to their name. Been a rough game for them. Not quite able to execute on a lot of their advantages. The bot lane play, you know, they only look for 1 dive, never really found another opportunity. They get a Baron buff off a very intelligent sneak and instantly lose a member and then have to go and try and defend their turrets. It feels like, you know, they always are making 1 good play but not quite able to capitalize on it all the way. And for C9, able to play very defensively in a lot of these situations, wear them down, poke them away, and then exploit mistakes that they do see. And in general, like you've kind of highlighted, these team fights aren't really going spectacularly for Cloud9, but they're playing the map well enough that when they don't go badly, they're still taking things away from OpTic.
Right, absolutely. So much has been about how much Cloud9 has gotten off their small advantages. Despite that, the goal lead's even.
Goldenglue does get eaten up by Zeyzal. GP ult nice in the choke though, but everybody gonna dive back in. Living for as long as possible. Defensive Galio ult is Keith. He's just trying to let it rip. Shiro, oh no, misses the Gnar. And now exhausted, but Zeyzal again with the save. Goldenglue gonna try and poke somebody down, but Keith needs to stay safe as well. Wiggily also fighting the flank, and again, OpTic start the fight and don't find anything.
They're the ones with all the tools to start these fights and lock people down. It was a good opportunity because Shiro was not Mega Gnar until the very end of that fight. And with that advantage, now they're trying to force this Baron down.
They're also pincered again. Kadir is getting chunked by Keith. I mean, that jungle is just going to die at this rate if they're not careful. Goldenglue looks for a Wiggily with another big flank. Assassinates Kadir with the ulti. Completes another great flank, and now Palafox caught in the front side is going to go down to Shiro. Wiggily, again, looking to cut some people off. Finds a carry in onto Dhokla, but needs to be careful. Tahm Kench looking with the flank with Zeyzal. Shiro pops out in mega form. Andy, he's the target. Look for the wall up. Don't quite find it, but Zeyzal finds the devour. Andy pops out with the QSS as Dhokla goes down to Keith. And now Andy trapped with nowhere good to go. The ace finally completed by Cloud9.
And once again, OpTic with a minor advantage try and force an objective way too hard. They had won an HP battle and tried to turn it into a Baron buff. Once again, they pinned themselves in an awkward position. Like you said, pincered from multiple angles, getting poked out to the point where finally Wiggily was able to find a pickoff that enabled them to win that entire fight and the game.
Yep, Nexus goes down. Cloud9 Academy finally grab the ace, and that's all they'll need to seal the deal and take down the Nexus. OpTic had a good win last time, but C9 will stop that in its tracks.
And I gotta hand all the credit to their macro play, their shot calling, their team synergy, because I do feel like this was a draft that was very difficult to execute on, but they pulled it off. They were able to split people away with the Gnar. That gave them a lot of advantages in the macro game, and the entire thing was very back and forth, but just smaller advantages eked out by the side of Cloud9.
Yeah, I think Wiggly's scoreline, not particularly pretty in that game, but I think effective enough. I mean, so often setting up these long-range flanks that seem almost suicidal, but everything worked out really well for C9, and OpTic were just like, what happened?
Yeah.
Why are we in such a terrible situation?
Especially even the early game, you know, a lot of what he did was getting Shiro ahead and was able to get that kind of strong Gnar for the, you know, later game fights that they were going to need him for.
Certainly good looking there. And again, Goldenglue Zoe looking not too bad. Keith, maybe the surprising performance there on the Tristana. Yep. And again, Cloud9 just kind of stitched things together and said, well, I'll play them. And this time they were at least somewhat right.
Yeah, it was very, very sketchy game, but they did just enough to avoid all the problems. Like when they lost the Baron, they were still able to find that mistake and punish OpTic for grouping up a little bit too far forward. Like you said, those flanks by Wiggily, not always the best scoreline, but a huge game.
And certainly a close one, but Cloud9 busted open at the end. We'll have a look at the final ace in just a moment. It's funny to me that this is what ended the game. Again, only one ace, but that's all they needed.
I think this is actually the team fight prior to it, just before it. And this is a difficult situation for C9. They don't really have a great way to get on, but Wiggily misses that. A lot of people go to finish him off, which actually enables Keith to try and flash forward. Good play by Braum to keep Andy alive. Keith is a little bit stranded here without much backup, but the skill shots miss. Nice footwork out of Keith to dodge the Braum Q as well. Allows him to keep kiting out. Is able to have his QSS once the Sejuani passive stacks onto him. And great play out of Keith, kind of win that fight for his team.
And again, that's not really like a gold differential win. You're not winning because you're so much stronger in items, but Cloud9 just forced them into an awkward spot, kept pressuring them against the map. OpTic feel like we have to go, we're going to lose our base if we don't, and when they went, Cloud9 punished accordingly.
It did feel potentially like a game where OpTic wasn't exactly sure where they stood. It was a strange game, so it's hard to know exactly where that gold lead is, and they were under pressure, so they might have thought they were further behind than they were, which is why they start going for these risky plays like this final fight that resulted in the ace.
And here's the ace.
Yeah. Wiggily gets chunked out, trying to do that Baron, and Wiggily wraps around, finishes him off. Good play, and then it's just an easy chase down on the rest of them. You see that Tahm Kench ultimate being able to deliver that Gnar.
And again, lots of credit to Shiro and Keith for playing this very well. Zeyzal again also utilizing the full power of Tahm Kench's ultimate to clean up the back end of that fight. Despite Dhokla getting the snipe in onto Goldenglue, Andy had no chance as the game was done at this point.
Yeah, he sees all his teammates die, left alone there. tried his best to live. QSS out Tahm Kench's belly, but still goes down.
Yeah, not a whole lot left to play for, unfortunately. And then Cloud9 again improved to 1-1 for the weekend. Still looking good at 5-1. Gonna be a little sad they dropped a game, but hey, they'll take it.
I mean, yeah, you can't expect to go through the entire season undefeated as much as you want to. You know, you take your losses when you make those mistakes, learn from them, and I think Cloud9 showed that they are still the #1 team here in Academy.
Well, OpTic split the weekend as well. Moxie and I, though, are going on caster cooldown, but we'll be back in just a few minutes. Stick around after the break for Game 3 between Clutch Gaming and 100 Thieves. Stasis there might save him as Keith. We're going to get the execute. Winston does slay Wiggily, but Keith looking for the kill. Does get it on the other end. Gets Charm, oranges it off, but might just go straight for the damage on the diver. Good scoop back by Shiro. Stun after the warp is a wonderful combo, and that's a simple kill. Here's the Galio ultimate. Everyone needs to get safe under the turret. A taunt, a massive taunt, in fact. Let's get in. Takes down Wiggily. Wiggily looks to find it. Does land the life. Gets in and a massive shutdown. The ulti wide there from Kadir as Palafox finally falls to Shiro. And Keith, he's in the front line, dishing out the deeps. Tahm Kench looking with the flank with Zeyzal. Shiro pops out in mega form. Andy, he's the target. Look for the wallop. Don't quite find it. But Zeyzal finds the devour. Andy pops out with the QSS as Dhokla goes down to Keith. And now Andy trapped with nowhere good to go. The ace finally completed by Cloud9.